Hey, what is up, everybody? What is up? Listen, so grateful that you have joined us once again for another
Mhm.
episode of the Two Young Pastors podcast. And before we jump in, we just want to encourage you and say, hey, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your support. And listen, we need you to like, share, and subscribe. Whatever you're listening on, whatever you're watching on, whether it be YouTube, Spotify, whether it be Apple Podcasts. Listen, we
Yep.
need your support. We're trying to grow this community, and we just want to encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to
Yeah.
all of our podcast channels. You can find it in the description of whatever platform you are listening to. My name is Joan Sanders, and I'm joined by my friend, my fellow pastor, my brother, Pastor Elijah Stanley. Man, I hope you're doing well today, bro. I
Yes,
really,
sir.
really do. And listen, got a very important topic to discuss with you today. Okay.
Let's get into it, man. Go ahead.
So I was at a brunch yesterday, and in this brunch, had some amazing friends from church who were celebrating my recent move. As now becoming a pastor of two churches,
Hmm.
right? And when you have a bunch of young adults come together, naturally, what ends up happening is you talk about things that are happening around you. And so one of the things that came up, bro, was the topic around Maverick City and gospel music. Okay,
Mm. Mm.
bro, I don't know if you know some of the controversy that's been happening recently, but just to catch you up a bit, recently, last week, Naomi Rain, she announced that she was leaving Maverick City Music.
Mm.
A couple hours later, I believe, um, Chandler Moore announced that he was leaving, and
Hmm.
in addition, he placed a suit against Maverick City Music for various reasons. Okay,
Hmm.
and this is something that had a lot of people in my community jumping because I think to a certain extent, some people knew something was fishy going on anyway.
Hmm.
Um, they were seeing how they were moving, how they were operating, especially over the recent years after the pandemic. And they would often say things like, there's a spirit there. I don't know what the spirit is, but it doesn't necessarily seem authentic. It seems manufactured. It seems
Hmm.
like it's not about God, but it's about elevating themselves. And so when they saw this,
Hmm.
uh, this is something that, like, for some of them, it affirmed some of their suspicions
Yeah.
that they were having. But what I truly think is that this stems from something much, much deeper, bro. It stems from something much
Mm.
deeper. And here's why I say that. See, the reality is that there has been this divide that has existed, especially since Maverick City has become so prominent.
Hmm.
Okay. I remember it very clearly because in my first year of going to Andrews University, I also felt it a little bit inside.
Hmm.
And this wasn't necessarily about Maverick City,
Hmm.
but this was about the relationship between Christians as it relates to gospel versus CCM.
Okay.
Um, I think if you know the world, you understand that there was a battle between CCM and gospel because they
Help help
represent two different parts of the world.
help to define what CCM is in case a
So
listener might not know what it is.
CCM stands for Christian Contemporary Music,
Hmm.
right? Typically, just to speak very plainly, it is music that is sung by white people more times than not in white spaces and in white worship.
Hmm.
When you think of artists like
Chris Tomlin,
Chris Tomlin,
um,
Hillsong United,
Hillsong,
Stephanie Gretzinger, Bethel Music, um, keep.
Michael. He plays the piano. Michael W. Smith.
I was about to say, I was like Michael Bublé, but yes, Chris Tomlin, Brandon Lake.
Brandon Lake.
Um,
Yeah.
you even have elevation worship. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
um, there's a certain style, and what's different about these styles is typically there's a lot of unison that's sung in CCM music. And when I say unison, I mean like there's not parts. One of the things that makes gospel gospel is there's harmony. And so you can hear the soprano note, you can hear the alto note, you can hear the tenor note, and maybe even a bass note if it's there.
Yeah.
Whereas in Christian contemporary music, aka CCM music, it's unison. And gospel music, typically the singers they modulate, meaning that they sing here and then they sing higher, and they might even go higher and higher.
Higher.
Whereas in most CCM songs, they typically stay on a certain level, right?
A key. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and gospel music, there's often songs talking about the struggle and how God is going to help you out of the struggle, because many of our experiences is how God is going to help you get through.
Hmm.
Um, Songs like or lyrics like "He may not come when you want him, but he'll be there right on time.
Hmm.
He's an on time God. Yes, he is." And so it talks about the struggle
Hmm.
that many Christians go through, especially many Black American Christians that we've experienced.
Hmm.
Whereas a lot of let's say CCM songs, they focus more so on how amazing God is, right? While here it is, gospel does that as well. You typically notice that in CCM songs, bro, it's a little bit absent, right? And so ultimately, there are differences. There are differences within these genres of Christian music, and naturally, I think you can imagine that individuals pick sides. And so
Yeah.
I know I've been talking a lot,
Hmm.
bro. Are you aware of this divide that exists between CCM, maybe even crossover, which is the intermingling between the
Hmm.
two, and gospel music?
Oh yeah, man. So as a guitarist, and I was a vocalist in my band, right?
Yeah.
We used to play all the different genres to our best ability, right? So the band was put together with different people, and then I would lead with another vocalist, and we would start off with CCM, right? So it has parts in it, but what it is like the mix is different. So that it elevates the main melody, right? And then the parts are kind of blended in with the mix. So it's there, but it all comes down to what is comfortable with the congregation that's there, right? So if you're so what I used to do is, all right, if I'm gonna go play at this church, right? All right, what songs would they know? So then I
Yeah.
would go and I would get together songs, right, that this church would know. So if it was, like you said, in a more plain way, right? If it was a more uh urban, if it not urban, a more white church, right? That kind of lean towards more Hillsong, Michael W. Smith, Passion, right? You would kind of lean towards songs that they would know, because the goal of worship is not to do a special music, but to have everyone along singing and worshiping, right? And then in the
Yes.
same way, if I knew that I was going to go to um a church, I think we played in Pennsylvania Avenue Church, right? And we had to learn some songs that we knew that the congregation knew, because we wanted them to sing along and be in worship with us.
Hmm.
And you could immediately tell, man, that the fact that you had to figure out what the church knew more of
Yeah.
was already a sign, if you're a musician or you're singing or you're somewhere in that space, that, oh, this church definitely won't know this song, or
Mhm.
this church will definitely know this song. And then even the fact that if you're in some churches, they don't even need the lyrics of the song up,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they just know it. It's just a part of the fabric of the church.
Yeah.
One great example of that, man, is goodness of God, right? So like,
Yes.
I think in the more recent dynamic, goodness of God was huge in a lot of CCM spaces
Mhm.
already. Like,
Yeah.
it was huge because Bethel, I think, put it out a while ago,
Hmm.
and people were singing it already. And then the moment a gospel artist put it together, right, and sang it,
Yeah.
that's when it exploded within the black church.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's okay because people follow the worship leaders that speak to them, right?
Yes.
So you can see that what might be big in one group or one side of our church is not as big as the other one until an artist they know brings it to their attention because they're already following them naturally, which brings up Maverick City, right? Which blends. I think the first time I saw it, their band and the way that they put together their music and even the artists that they were very intentional about partnering with and collabing with was the first like hybrid, depending on who you ask, because some people would say Maverick is gospel and others will say it's CCM and then others will say it's hybrid, right? So
It's crossover. Yeah, it's
yeah,
crossover.
right. So they're I'm saying that they're the first group that if you were to take one of their songs, you could potentially sing it in both spaces and a good majority, not everyone, but a good majority of people would know it in both spaces.
Yes. Now, here's something that I think is important for people to understand because they have to understand context, right? Because the tension doesn't come from the fact that um, Maverick is just popular, right?
Mhm,
Because some people might think, oh, maybe gospel artists are just jealous, right? No, I think there's more to it than that.
mhm,
Um, I think there is this reality where there have been a number of black individuals who have gone into white spaces um, and have used their talent and their gifting in those spaces, but they haven't necessarily used it in their own spaces. Um,
mhm,
and Elijah, I've even seen um, some individuals kind of sort of skirt over the issues that we know exist within our country.
mhm,
Um, and so, to a lot of black people, when they're seeing Chandler Moore, Dante Bowe, Naomi Rain, maybe Joel Barnes,
mhm,
right? Um, when they see them in these white spaces, their question is, "Man, how come you're not in the black spaces?" Right? Now, for all intents and purposes, they could have that could be what they know,
yeah,
right? That could very well be what they know. Yet, I think it's when individuals like um, Chandler Moore make comments about gospel music
mhm,
um, and about how he doesn't like to express certain aspects of himself because he's like he's in a different context
mm,
and it's like, hey, why are you suppressing that part of yourself
mhm,
um, when this is a part of our culture
mhm,
um, and so I think it's situations like that pop up and then more recently when I believe it's when their manager, um, Norman Gyamfi, right,
mhm,
was on a podcast with Isaac Curry, and he made some very hard statements
mhm,
that made Black people even more concerned about Maverick City because there was already a certain group of Black people that was saying that, oh, we're not sure if the members of Maverick City are actually for Black people, even though they are Black, because they are in those spaces that are not necessarily us.
mhm,
Um, Typically, it means that you have opinions and beliefs that don't support us.
mhm,
You see this in individuals like um, the artist who made the goodness of God popular within the Black community,
mhm,
right? CC Winans. She has some very complicated beliefs, which has made her presence in the white Christian space more prominent. Um, where she did not, where she has chosen to not occupy herself in Black spaces because she has more conservative views
Mhm.
that are contradictory with what we as Black Americans believe, right? And so when you see Norman Jumping make several comments about how, oh, Maverick City Music is outpacing all the other gospel artists who are out right now, and no one wants to listen to gospel music. No one wants choirs.
Yeah.
Gospel artists need to conform. You know,
Mhm.
these are the things that make people perk up and say, "Oh, what he is telling us is that we need to sell out or we need to assimilate so that we can be accepted by a wider audience,
Mhm.
which typically equates to we need
More
to
money.
assimilate so that we can be, that's it, accepted by a whiter
Mhm.
audience." And so this is the issue that a lot of individuals are having with Maverick City, because around all the people who are maybe crossover or CCM and they're Black,
Mhm.
um, they do some funny things like Travis Green performing at Donald Trump's inauguration,
Yeah.
um, or Brandon Lake performing at Charlie Kirk's memorial service. And so it's certain things that are being done where individuals are saying, "Oh, not only are these individuals not necessarily lifting up Black people, it seems like they're siding with a side of America that obviously is against Black people."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I want to talk about this with you, man. Want to talk about this with you because the
Yeah.
reality is that there the reality is they make good music.
Mhm.
It's very popular songs, and our young adults, our church members know these songs. Yet there's a divide in the church around, should we listen to these songs? Should they be incorporated in our worship experiences, or should we stick to the things that have gotten us thus far? And so, I want to hear your thoughts on this
Yeah.
topic because I think that this is something that we personally
Mhm.
went through a few times with a few people in our churches.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, like, we put together worship nights, right? And we deal with worship leaders that have this that are processing through it as well, right? Um, what like a lot of stuff popped up in my mind as you were speaking. One of the more like comical sides of the conversation kind of like brought up, when R. Kelly had all the stuff happening with him, and people were like, "Do we still sing?" And
Bro, I legit went to a wedding early this year, and at the reception, they played a R. Kelly song,
that's
and
what I'm saying.
and when they did, I sat down. I sat down. Janelle, she stepped to the side, and a couple of other friends stepped to the side because we were like, "Yeah, no, like we don't," especially because a lot, like a number of his songs, like were created around the women that he was with.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and so as soon as I heard it, I said, "Up, let me take my seat. Let me take my seat."
But other people probably kept dancing, right? A- and
They did. They did.
and like I think that was like the humorous side of that conversation that popped up when I was listening to what you were saying is, hey, like we've had these conversations before, but in different contexts, right?
Mm,
And we're just kind of bringing it and now having those same versions of the conversation, but with a different like meal, right? But
yeah,
like more like church stuff. I always come back to what are we doing in worship, right? Is is we're praising God and we are trying to create the most distraction free environment as
certainly.
possible,
Certainly.
right?
Mhm.
So for for me personally, when we're going through these conversations, especially hearing other people, when we've had these conversations with leaders that we work with as well, right? My thing and my main point is, all right, what is our main goal, right? And that's our main goal, is to create a distraction-free worship environment, right, where everyone can have a connection with God. If I know that I'm going to go into a a church that's already having these conversations, right? Why would I then inadvertently take a side by singing a song because the church has already had this conversation? For example, right? If I'm going into a larger church and I know the pastor has already speak the Saturday or the Sunday before, right, on Maverick City,
Yeah.
right? Why would I then go the next service and then sing a song that I might personally vibe with and gets me into the attitude of worship, but the pastor has already preached and said, "Hey, we're not going to be singing these songs here anymore." Right?
Yeah.
Like why like let's not become agents of chaos just because we want our own personality and flavor to be seen, right?
Yes.
Hey, there's a mission that that church has. Be a good Christian and a good leader and follow along when it's time to follow. And then
Yes.
in your own space, when it's time to lead out into those areas, right? But I think the foundational part of that conversation is, hey, like what is the main purpose of what we're trying to do, right? And I think Maverick City, when I was hearing their songs and and I went to a few of their concerts as well, right? Oh, you gave me a free ticket one time too, and I appreciate that, man. And of course, there's a production value in there
Yeah.
because it's a concert. People are there. It's
Yeah.
a worship event, but there's a lot of production value because people want to get their money's worth,
Yeah.
and, and that's okay because they came to hear worship songs and praise God, but they also want to be entertained to a certain extent,
Yes. Yes.
and that's okay because it's a concert. It's a
Yeah.
concert. Now, the moment you take that and then you bring it into a church environment where where everything just has production value, that's when a spiritual leader should have an issue with it, right?
Mhm.
But if they're out singing at the Grammys, if they're out singing here, there, I I personally find a hard time trying to convince them not to give production value to something that, if it didn't have production value, most of us wouldn't watch it.
Yes. Yes. Here's what I want to say, man, because I think more than anything else, people have opinions like around this topic, right?
Yeah.
I think, um, and continuing down the line that you're going through, here's what I think, right? One, I think within my community, what we need to do is kind of sort of say the quiet part out loud to a certain
Mhm.
extent. One, it is hard to see that there's a group of individuals, young individuals, who have amassed so much
Huge.
popularity and acceptance when there are so many artists who are just as competent in their skills, if not more so.
More, yeah.
Um, individuals who have really upheld, let's say the black church, um, and they have not received as much recognition
Mhm,
and as much accolades as them, right?
mhm.
I think it's hard to see that
Yeah.
for a number of individuals to the extent that it makes it seem like you don't matter
Mhm,
and that you are being left behind
mhm,
and what you enjoy is being left behind.
mhm,
What I believe that a number of my church members, friends as well, are concerned about is that if Maverick City is so prominent, they're going to encourage more gospel singers to
mhm,
also assimilate and change their sound so that they can get picked up and so that they can get accepted by a wider audience.
mhm,
I think that that's one of the major concerns that exists because we saw greats like Byron Cage, Darrell Coley, greats like Fred Hammond,
Mm-hmm.
Londa Adams, and
Jonathan Reynolds. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like these individuals, right? Jonathan Nelson, his brother James Nelson, Marvin Sapp. Like we know who these individuals are. However, let's say we have individuals watching who are not in our churches,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's say if they're white, maybe even Indian. Question is, do they know who these individuals are?
Probably not.
And so it shows that yes, they were able to accomplish something and do something that other individuals that are legends
Mm-hmm.
in the space of gospel in the space of black church, they were not able to do. And
Yeah.
it draws concern, and that concern is valid
Mm-hmm.
because if you grew up, even especially in the Adventist church,
Yeah.
right, a black American church at that, you know for a fact that you had to fight for this type of worship, this type of music to be in this space. Like
Mm-hmm.
I remember when discussions on should there be drums in the church
Yeah.
were brought up. I remember it when
Mm-hmm.
individuals were critiquing individuals like Kirk Franklin because they said that his music back then had gone too far, and individuals were questioning, "Hey, this isn't hymns. This is not what Adventists do." And when Black people hear that, what they hear really is, "You don't want Black worship."
Mm-hmm.
And so now that they see these artists who have, to a certain extent, taken their black voices and added some of the elements of CCM,
Mm-hmm.
having more words and songs, some wordy songs, uh,
Wordy, bro.
like,
Wordy.
which are great,
Yeah.
amazing lyrics, but not modulated.
Most of the time. Most of the time. Most of the time.
And so what, like, to see, because yes, a number of their songs have become chants and they have become repetitive, and it's crazy that the song, like before, people used to critique black gospel music and say, "Oh man,
It's
it's just
just
saying the same thing over and over and over again." And Maverick City doing it, build
it's
your church,
okay.
build your church, build your church, build it from the ground up. We're your church, build your church. Wait on the Lord, wait
Yeah.
on the Lord. He
Yeah.
will renew your strength. To so wait, I said repetitive,
Repetitive.
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 And now it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's okay
Yeah. Yeah.
because they packaged it in a way
Yeah.
that feels okay for you. Now it's okay, but when it was done by overtly black artist,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
With the modulations and the parts and
it
then it
was
was
not
too
okay.
much.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the reality is, gotta say the loud part out loud, bro. Gotta say the loud part out loud. But also, I think that what we have to do is we have to still be able to push past our concerns.
Yeah.
Your point is so valid. As a church, as spiritual leaders, right? We still have to create worship environments, worship cultures where yes, we want to make sure that there is an undisturbed flow, but we also want to ensure that individuals are engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so what this means is that there should be balance,
Mm-hmm.
because truth is Maverick City does make good music.
It's good.
Like,
Solid.
they
Yeah.
make good music and good corporate worship music,
Mm-hmm.
like songs that make sense and that encourage many people to get involved.
Yeah.
And so I think where we can have the best of both worlds is for us to take the lyrics, take the rhythm, and separate it into three parts. Do a medley. Mash one of their songs with a choir song.
Mm-hmm.
Mash it with a Fred Hammond or Kirk Franklin song.
Yeah.
Like, show how the worlds can truly blend, but create a diet that spans from gospel all the way to CCM,
Mm-hmm.
from choir to gospel choir to
Mhm.
uh crossover to CCM, like to make sure you're even singing hymns.
Yeah,
Like
hymns. Yeah.
having a balanced diet is crucial.
Yeah.
And make sure that we're not sacrificing, don't sacrifice what we have done just because it's not the most popular thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Because in the interview that he had with Isaac Curry, Norman was like, listen, like people don't want that. And the question
Yeah,
is, well, just because people don't want it, it doesn't mean that we have to stop making it.
that's true.
Like
Yeah.
we're not slaves. We're not slaves to the audience. We're not slaves to the numbers. We're
Mhm.
convicted by God.
Yep. 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 Yep.
And so the problem with Norman, the problem that I have with him in this video, is that I think Norman is being more influenced by worldly metrics
Mhm.
than by God's kingdom metrics. And so I think that that's kind of sort of like the next thing I want to talk about, right? Like, how can we make sure that our worship is not driven by numbers, but is driven by the conviction of spreading the kingdom of God? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, that's the hardest part of the Christian music industry is because they have to live in both worlds.
Yes,
Like, they have to live in a world where it's business minded because you're not gonna pump money into something that isn't gonna give back revenue,
that's
right?
true.
That's just normal.
Yeah.
But then your product is overtly spiritual. So
Yes.
you're kind of having to have your feet in two worlds where you're like, hey, the music I'm singing is based off a spiritual experience I might have gone through, and it's to an audience that is in a spiritual experience as well.
Yeah. Yes.
But then it doesn't make any sense to have the recording studios, have the tours, have all the stuff, and then not make money back on that as well,
Well
right?
said. Well said. Well said.
So I think it would be um not unwise, but it would be foolish of someone like me that does not have the hey, I need to sell a certain amount of albums to be able to pay my singers, pay my band, pay the sound tech, and pay all these people, right? So they have all of these things going on as they're writing their music, right? So it's like, hey, this verse, right, is great. At the same time, it has to be able to be sung at every church across America and across the world. And at the same time, it has to be able, this entire song has to be able to fit within the album and then sell X amount of albums and streams to make money as well. So I can't like comprehend the
I mean, but hearing that, I think that starts at the top. Like that starts at the top of these production companies, right? Because like I don't know who all the major production companies are in the Christian music industry, right?
yeah,
But
there's like three or like two.
I think that like that mindset where you're thinking, I got to be worried about album sales, right? Like that stuff seems like the people above you
Hmm.
are making you like have to be aware of those things.
Hmm.
Like as an artist, I believe that your job should just be, yo, I want to lead people in worship. Like, so if you have to now be concerned about money, if you now have to be concerned about sales, right? And not sales because it means that like, hey, you know, God is blessing people, but you're just more so concerned about the numbers.
Hmm.
It means that you have placed your priority. It seems like you've lost the important things, you forgot the main thing, and you
Hmm.
placed priority in the wrong area. That's what it sounds like to me.
It
But it sounds like the reason why you're forced to think that way is because the people who you have to answer to have forced you to think that way.
Well, yeah, that and all of the successful artists
Mhm.
in the world have been a part of those conversations. So, like, I'm thinking the first thing that popped up into my mind was Stevie Wonder, right? Like he was someone that was like sat at the table, right, to make sure that he was not siphoned out of the money that he was
Mm,
owed,
mm.
because there's that culture in the music industry, right, where artists are continually being taken
Take it.
advantage of. Even Taylor Swift, bro, right? Like her masters, right?
And you see, like, my tension with the topic is that you said the music industry. I think naturally the Christian music industry should function differently than the secular music industry,
You're
because in the secular music industry, it makes sense that the passion is just money,
Mhm.
right? Because the world is capitalistic. But if we're talking about Christians out here, right? Christian organizations coming together to spread the gospel through gospel crossover CCM, right? Naturally, your motivation should be different.
Yeah, yeah.
Eh,
But it isn't, because there's like, I think 5 or 3 churches that is like dominant in that. It's
Yeah,
it's like Bethel, um, Elevation, Passion, Hillsong, and I think maybe there's like one more that is like major. And if you're not good with these 4 or 5 churches, then you probably won't, like, they're like the gatekeepers. So
gatekeepers.
I do hear the, hey, we should not sing these songs because they have this like monopoly, right? I do understand that argument, because you want to fight against it.
Yeah,
I
we talked about.
I'm forgetting who, but dude was like passionate. And while I understand what he's saying, the melody of Gyra, if that plays, I'm probably gonna sing it, right?
It's like it's a great song, and I mean, I think there's something to be said about, let's say, Maverick City music pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Mhm.
I think you could begin to see a shift post-COVID. Possibly not their fault, right? Um,
Yeah.
but outfit changes, you know. And I'm not saying this as a person who's like, yo, Christians should dress a certain way.
Mhm.
Obviously, modesty and humility is important.
Mhm.
But, you know, a gospel artist actually brought to my attention when I was talking to him. He was like, hey, before they weren't wearing a whole bunch of chains and stuff like that. They didn't have a whole bunch of tattoos and stuff like that. Like, look at them pre-pandemic, look at them post-pandemic, like tatted, bunch of jewelry and things like that. The attire is different. And it's just like, huh,
Man.
like they're selling a lifestyle now.
Mhm.
Like,
The aesthetic, the
yeah,
Christian aesthetic. Yeah. Yeah.
like they're selling something. And before it was, let's just make music.
Mhm.
And let's gather worshipers together. Let's make music. Let's build the kingdom of God. And so I think that there's a different aesthetic.
I 100% agree with you. Like, if you don't know this in like the production world, then you kind of don't know it until someone mentions it and you see it, right? So like,
Yeah.
think about like Friends, right? Like the show Friends, right? There's this like crazy there's this there's this like effect that happens when you start to sell more seasons as a cast. Like, they go from,
Very true.
like, the actors themselves go
Yeah.
from like almost like malnourished waiters, right? To like, now their teeth are straighter, their teeth
Yeah.
are wider, like their face looks more.
Haircuts and hairdos much better.
In The Office, bro, Steve Carell got hair implants that you can see in season 2 and 3.
I never noticed.
Like, unless you see it and and someone mentions it, you don't know. Like, that
He
just
still has a hairline. I
he still
forgot.
has, bro, the first season, dude was like this, man. He had nothing up there. Like,
Yo,
it was
that's
going away.
insane.
It was going away.
Okay.
That just happened, like, unless you're in that world for a while, like, producers all know it, right? That they have to like look at at the actors, like if you're an actor that's known for being like skinny, right? Just because you have all of this money now does not mean that you can go out and then gain more weight, because your paycheck is determined on your
Your look.
character, your your look.
Yeah.
So in the same way, man, like I get what people are saying, that they have the chains, they have the tats and everything else. That just comes with being in that world. Is it okay or not is a different story, right? But once you're in that world and the camera is on you every single time,
Yeah.
it's hard not to look and say, hey, maybe a tat's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then you go from maybe like a smiley face here, whatever, right, across, and you get a full sleeve,
Fall asleep.
right?
Yes. So ultimately, we recognize that like there's some meddling that's taking place within the Christian music industry.
Yeah.
I don't want to just say it's in the gospel music industry. It's most likely
It's
definitely
everywhere.
in the CCM space as well. There are even churches that are paying to make themselves more popular. Like like it's insane. Mega churches are really mucking up the Christian landscape. But this is really just an introductory conversation on this topic. There's probably more that can be said.
Mhm.
We want to hear from you, and so please share your thoughts. If you are concerned about the Maverick City situation or this that divide within Christian music, give us your perspective on your thoughts on it. Do you agree with some of the things that we've shared? Do you disagree? We want to keep the conversation going. So, like we said at the beginning, make sure to like, share,
Yeah.
subscribe. We really want to build this community, especially on YouTube. We're three subscribers away from 50. From 50, it sounds like a little, but it's a lot. It's a lot for us right now because we got friends and
Mhm.
family who are really supporting us. So,
Bro, there's someone consistently watching from Joplin, Missouri. Like
whoa,
consistently. If you're
shout out
watching,
to you!
if you're watching from Missouri, please DM
Shout
us
out.
something, something, something. So we can say thank you for being a constant
Thank
supporter.
you. Seriously.
Appreciate you.
So listen, we'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, you're never too young, you're never too old to make sure that you indeed are in a right relationship with Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
Be blessed, y'all.
See you guys.